Our God is a just and compassionate God. He is compassionate and merciful to those who are humble and trust in Him. And He also denounces those proud and self-righteous. My dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, today is the 32nd Sunday in the ordinary time. And today's readings invite us to practice compassion towards people who are poor, vulnerable, weak, orphans, and widows, and not to use our religious pieties for our personal gain and to oppress others. Incidentally, today we have two sections in today's Gospel. In the first part of the Gospel, Jesus seemed to be very unhappy and upset with the life of the scribes and the Pharisees for their hypocritical life. In other words, we can say they were living a double standard life. And hence, Jesus denounces their life and their way of behavior in the temple of Jerusalem as He teaches the people in it. The religious leaders, namely the scribes and the Pharisees, sought to make their life comfortable, safe, and secure instead of protecting the poor and the needy and the widows of their time. They were also seen as leaders who exploited the weaker section of the society. And so, noticing all this, Jesus rightly denounces their behavior. For they preached but never practiced what they preached. And hence, Jesus also cautions those people who were listening to Him not to be like these scribes and Pharisees. In another instance, we have heard Jesus saying, listen to what they say and do not live the way they live. In the second part of the Gospel, dear friends, Jesus recognizes the generous contribution of the poor widow towards the upliftment or upkeeping of the temple of Jerusalem. Though it was a small contribution, she put into the treasury everything she had. She did it with great dedication and commitment to the religious practices of her time. We see this simple piety of the poor widow in contrast to the arrogance and pride of so-called religious leaders. Widow's act was a daring act of trust in God's providence. Similar act of trust and confidence in God we see in the act of the widow in today's first reading. And she is rightly blessed with abundance of flour and oil. God not only sees the hypocrisy of the leaders, He also acknowledges the small acts or small deeds of the poor widows. In seeing the hypocrisy, Jesus denounces the scribes and the Pharisees, and in acknowledging the generous acts of the poor widows, He blesses them abundantly. And so, dear friends, we as Christ followers are called to be persons of compassion and integrity, and towards God practicing generosity. May these graces and values be ours as we take part in today's Eucharist.